Hello friends, welcome to episode 6 of Sewing Circle Sunday. So today's lesson I'm going to show you how to make a princess bodice front and back. So when you start doing pattern drafting, which this is, you want to start with something called slopers, and they come in different sizes. It's like a standard pattern that you can turn anything into. It's typically a bodice front, a bodice back, a skirt front, skirt back, pant front, pant back, and a sleeve. So the standard size is a size 8. However, I'm using size 14 slopers because they're closer to my size. The way that this works is the standard of sizing isn't the same as dress sizes today. So a size 14 wouldn't be a dress size 14 today. It would be more like probably a 10 or a 12. So you always have to remember to measure yourself before you start this. So the first thing I'm going to do, you can either do a slash and spread method or you can do a pivot method. So I'm going to show you the slash and spread method. First you want to trace out your bodice. This is the front. And then this is the back. Sorry, my nails look so icky. So I'll start with the back. So with the back, I'm going to take my ruler. And I have a lot of different rulers. I have this one, I have a tailor square, I also have this. This is good for a skirt. And then of course my very favorite, my clear ruler. So you kind of, there's not really a perfect rhyme or reason. I just don't want this to go too far out this way, so I want it to be a very gentle curve going from the dart end of the waist to the dart end of the shoulder. So that's going to be my princess seam. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to figure out where the middle of my shoulder is. Put a little mark there. Some people like to have the princess slopers on hand because there's a lot of things that are derived from it, like different dresses and everything. So you might want to turn this paper into an actual tag board. The other thing is there is no seam allowance on this, so you actually have to add the seam allowance at the end of the pattern. There isn't any on the slopers. So next I'm going to cut these out. If you're a sewer, you know it's a big no-no to use your fabric scissors with paper because it dulls them down. Now I'm going to cut out the back. I didn't realize how icky my nails look. Did I already say that? Okay, so now you can see the princess seam coming to life. So it'll start up here. I should have been wearing something princess seam. So it'll go here and then go over the bust and all the way to the waist. And then it does the same thing in the back. It'll go from the shoulder over the shoulder blade to the waist. So now I have two separate pieces. I like to label everything because I won't remember. So for example, that center front, and we could put side front on that. Now this is the back. So then I'm going to label this CB for center back, and then I'm going to label this side back. Now it's time to retrace. Now there's no seam in the front because the front is going to be cut on fold. So I don't have to add any seam allowance to that. So then I'm going to lay this down, retrace. So I retrace that. Now I'm going to retrace the side front. And you want to give yourself enough room to add all that seam allowance. I'm just going to kind of gently smooth this out without losing a lot of, because I don't want to lose too much as far as that goes. Now they also say to go in about 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch right here. So I'm going to do that. You can absolutely measure. Like I said, I've done this so much that I'm pretty good at eyeballing it. You just want to go in just a touch, not a lot, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. But you want to make it blend right in with that. So see how it's like kind of a smooth line right there. So now we have to deal with this right here. This isn't going to be a straight line because these are going to get sewed together and you have to have space for the bust. So I didn't want to bore you with all the adding seam allowances and all that, so I did it for you. So I added, like I said, my 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I added it all the way around except for center front, and then all around the side seam. And so this indicates it's cut on fold when the arrows point towards it, and then this indicates that it's straight up and down. So this will be good because when you cut out your fabric, you can match up the notches, and then you know how to sew it back together with, because sometimes it can get tricky, like with the sleeve or when you're trying to do this over curves, because you can't really remember how, you know, where to place it together to make it so it's perfect. So yeah, so this is the princess front. The front cut on fold, the side front cut to, and then the back you do exactly the same way. You would add your seam allowance unless it was cut, it was a side zipper, you would add seam allowance all the way around the side back and the back. So that's the lesson. Let me know if you want to know anything else about this, or if you like this, or if you don't like it, or if you want more or less, or any more details. And then I also wanted to discuss that we just finished The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. So that was a 6-part series on the ID channel. And it was so bizarre, you guys. It was very, well, it was actually, you know, a lot of people likened it to that movie, The Orphan. But it was sad, and it was very disturbing, and we kind of didn't have any answers at the end of it, I didn't feel like. I don't want to ruin it, because if I say too much about it, it'll ruin it right off the rip, but definitely look into it. It was about a little girl who was adopted, and is questionable, from Ukraine, and it was questionable about how old she was when she was adopted. And this orphan happened to be a little person, and so that was why it was so hard to determine her age, even though I'm not gonna ruin it, but I will say the dad was something else. The mom wasn't in it, but the dad talked like this with his hands. And in the comments, I was reading different things on Instagram, and they were saying that the dad, what was wrong with the dad? It was like he was acting the whole time, and then he'd go into these drags of crying that seemed really fake. So yeah, so definitely check that out if you like any kind of strange stories, and the ID channel never is tires of having those. The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. You won't be sorry. Thank you for watching, friends. I'll see you next time. Bye.